All right, hello, good morning, good evening, and good night. I hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic because today I have a great video plan where we're going to go over some of the Yieldmax ETF dividends that have been posted for this week. And why this week is so exciting is because there's a change. What's the change? Bigger dividends. And I want to talk to you guys about this video. So what we're going to do is I have 4 Yieldmax ETFs that are currently paying out dividends for this week. And what I want to do is I want to go over the dividend amount paid. I want to go over my strategy, but then as well, I want to look at the actual stock. And I have yet to look at the monthly calendar to see how much each has potentially made or lost in the past month. And that will ultimately kind of determine, okay, why we're receiving these dividends. Because huge surprises, we're going to go through them each, but I see YMAX down here at $17.44. We're going to look at all the distributions as well, because I want to show you guys why this could be potentially the turning point for Yieldmax ETFs, where if you picked up a lot of shares at low prices, you might be in for some cool little dividend rewards here. So that's what we're talking about today. We're up to 7,867 subscribers, 131 subscribers in the past 28 days. I was going to say uploading. We are gaining in subscribers every single day, but enough about that and enough about the $50 down below. If you click the Questrade link and type in that referral code or just copy paste it, either one works. But enough about that. So what I want to talk about today is these dividends. The highest one, CVNY. I'm not sure what this is. This is likely a new Yieldmax ETF. The real Yieldmax ETF with the highest is NFLY with 92 cents. Roughly about 92 cents, okay? But the real one that I'm looking at right here is CONY, 0.65. And why that's substantial is because CONY's last few dividends have been kind of small, okay? We had 59 cents, we had 43 cents was the dip, but now this one coming out today, which was the declaration date, 65 cents. So this is a pretty big boost from the previous dividend. It's still not up to CONY's standards of paying out pretty high dividends, but let's take a look at the stock over the last kind of month or so. And the reason why I'm looking at all the underlying stocks is because they are what move the Yieldmax ETF. So as you can see here, up 16.5% over the last month. That is awesome. Still down from 6-month highs, and then as well from the 6-month calendar. So you could see here, when Yieldmax ETFs, they trend up, they will potentially pay bigger dividends. That's the whole purpose. Yieldmax ETFs over the past 6 months, they've been flat to down. And flat to down doesn't necessarily, flat is okay, but down will produce smaller and smaller dividends. We need to see upside for Yieldmax ETFs. Slow and relatively slow upside will produce the best returns, in my opinion, for both a total return perspective and a dividend perspective, as steady growth to the upside will help maximize a Yieldmax strategy. But you see here within the past month, up 16%, that's awesome for CONY, and that's why its dividend is increasing. So what we want to do, especially when we're investing, we're looking for Yieldmax ETFs that are increasing, and one of those ones is PYPY, with the second highest dividend, in our portfolio, to say the least, 55.19, so 55 cents roughly. If we go to PYPY, look at their previous dividends, you see here the previous dividends we're looking at 37 cents, 35 cents. I think when we even see a lot of these dips in Yieldmax ETF dividends over like across the board, I think it turns a lot of people off and it scares a lot of investors away. But this is why it's so important to understand the strategy and how Yieldmax investments work. They are synthetic covered call ETFs, and generally what we find is when they perform downwards, they don't produce the same dividends. Sure, they're based off of volatility. They could produce some good dividends in downturns, but the real dividends are when you buy low and you ride the markets up. That's where it produces cash flow. And now you're seeing a 55-cent dividend, which is much higher than the previous 2 dividends. But as you notice, it's kind of on par with PYPY's previous dividends, but we've seen dividends as high as $1.61. So if PYPY really increases, we're hopefully going to see dividends close to $1 once again. See, within the past month, only up about 1%. So this is a good dividend based on not too much volatility in the underlying stock over the past month, as you can see. Now, the next one we're going to talk about is MSFO with a 52, we'll call it a 53 cent dividend. And MSFO in my opinion, has paid much lower dividends than this. This is a pretty high dividend. 53 cents versus the last ones, which are 33, 28, 36, 36, 41, 50. So this is the highest dividend. If we go back, this is the highest dividend since it looks like about May last year. So almost in a year, the highest dividend for MSFO, which is pretty fantastic. MSFO over the past month, up about 4.35%. It's pretty sustainable. That's not too bad. And really, as mentioned, same thing across the board. When the underlying stock goes up, Yieldmax ETFs will likely pay higher dividends. So it's something to watch out for. And then last, but certainly not least, because my portfolio is full of it, YMAX with $17.44, a 17-cent dividend. This is a huge dividend for YMAX because it brings the yield up to 67% for a relatively diversified ETF. It holds a basket of all the Yieldmax ETFs. And you see here, 17 cents versus a lot of the previous dividends, which were 13, 12, 17. So about 3 months ago was the last, 1 month ago, because it pays on a weekly basis, was the last $17 dividend. It's been a while. It feels like a while. But speaking that, I currently own, I want to see here, 1,343 shares. Let's do some math here. 1,343 shares times 0.1733. Of course, there's tax on that. Let me see. Okay, it's actually 44. So it's going to be a little bit bigger than this. Let's go back here. 44. Boom. $234 for this dividend payment for my account. That's pretty good in terms of a weekly payment. And Yieldmax has seen dividends almost double this, with dividends reaching as high as upwards of $30. Let's see if we can find one right here. Okay, or $30, 30 cents. So all in all, this was a fantastic sign from the Yieldmax ETFs. If you were buying at low prices like we've seen in CONY, like we've seen in PYPY, MSFO, and currently still in YMAX sitting at $13.24, whereas previously it was up to about $18 or so within the last 6 months. It's not a potentially bad time to buy. And I actually bought quite a bit of Yieldmax ETFs. If you see my market value here, I did something a little crazy, which I'm going to explain in the next video, which is why it's so important that you guys subscribe. We're up to 7,867 subscribers. I hope you guys enjoyed going through the latest Yieldmax ETFs dividends from me. This is very exciting, and it should be exciting going forward with hopefully higher dividends on the way. This is what we invested for, and this is going to change our total monthly income. I'm super excited to see exactly what happens, and of course, I'm tracking it all, so we will see then. All right, if you guys enjoyed this video, you guys know what to do. Give this video a like if you guys did enjoy. Check out the links below to get your $50 for Questrade, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.